In the shimmering spires of the Galactic Concord's eternal nexus, where stars themselves seemed to bow before the assembled dignitaries, Ilara Voss stood alone amid a sea of swirling silks and iridescent scales. The Thalorian princes, heir to the ancient Vale of Echoes, had long been the envy and terror of suitors across 1,000 worlds. Her skin glowed with the soft luminescence of nebula dust, a delicate violet that shifted like twilight on a dying sun. Her eyes, twin pools of liquid starfire, held the weight of millennia wisdom earned not through age alone, but through the crushing isolation of power no male of her kind could withstand. The soul echo, they called it, an invisible resonance that poured from every Thalorian female like an unending symphony, beautiful yet shattering to any who dared draw too close in the sacred bond of unity. Tonight, under the crystal dome that projected holographic constellations from forgotten empires, the latest ceremony of proposal unfolded. Ilara's heart thudded with a rhythm older than the Concord itself, a desperate hope laced with the bitterness of countless failures. She had dressed in the traditional robes of her lineage-flowing fabrics, woven from threads of captured comet tails, clinging to her lithe form in ways that accentuated the elegant curve of her shoulders and the subtle strength in her arms. Whispers rippled through the crowd like venomous winds. "The Echo Queen," they murmured. Beautiful as the void, deadly as its pull, alien males from every corner, tentacled Crixians with their multi-limbed grace, armored Vorath with their thunderous voices, sleek Alandari, whose wings shimmered like auroras, had lined up earlier, each presenting gifts forged in the fires of their homeworlds. But one by one, they had turned away. The first, a proud Crixian lord named Vexer, had knelt before her with a pearl of compressed neutron star matter, his 8 eyes gleaming with ambition. "Your echo calls to me, princess," he had declared, extending a limb to touch her hand. The moment contact sparked, his tentacles convulsed. The soul echo surged not violently, but relentlessly, unraveling his thoughts into fragmented echoes of his own fears. He recoiled, gasping, his skin paling to ash. "No, it drowns me. Forgive me, but I cannot bind with the storm." He fled into the crowd, leaving Ilara's outstretched hand empty once more. Next came the Vorath warrior, his chitinous plates gleaming under the dome's light. He had roared his vow of protection, slamming a fist against his chest in a display of raw might. But as he leaned in for the ritual whisper, the echo whispered back ancient songs of Thalorian queens, who had ruled alone because no partner could match their inner fire. His roar turned to a whimper. His armored knees buckled. "You are no mate," he snarled through gritted mandibles. "You are a singularity. I would vanish into you." Rejection after rejection piled like shattered comets at her feet. The Alindari prince fluttered away mid-sentence, his wings folding in terror. Even the gentle, bioluminescent Aquari from the oceanic depths had paled, their glowing tendrils retracting as if burned. Ilara watched them all retreat, her violet lips pressed into a line of quiet defiance. Inside, however, the storm raged. She was 20 cycles young by Thalorian reckoning, barely a blink in galactic time, yet the weight of solitude pressed upon her like the gravity of a black hole. Her mother, the late Empress, had warned her, "Our power is our curse, daughter." Males seek equals, not tempests, but Ilara had dreamed anyway. Dreams of a partner who would not only survive her echo, but dance within it, amplifying it into something harmonious and eternal. Love, not conquest. Passion, not submission. She had studied the Forbidden's archives in secret, poring over tales of interspecies bonds that defied the Concord's rigid laws. Humans, those primitive upstarts from the Sol system, were mentioned in hushed tones, adaptable, chaotic, dangerously resilient. But no human had ever set foot in these hallowed halls until now. As the ceremony dissolved into awkward revelry, Ilara slipped away to the observation balcony overlooking the Nexus's artificial nebula. The air here hummed with engineered serenity, scented with exotic blooms from a dozen planets. She leaned against the railing, her fingers tracing invisible patterns in the force field barrier. Tears, rare and crystalline for her kind, welled in her starfire eyes. "Why must I be this storm?" she whispered to the void. "Why can no one sail it?" Memories fluttered her unbidden. Childhood laughter with her father before his echo bond with her mother had claimed him in peaceful dissolution. The academy halls where peers had shunned her during group meditations. The lonely nights on her palace world of Thaler Prime, where even the moon seemed to orbit at a wary distance. A soft chime interrupted her reverie, the arrival alert for new delegates. Ilara straightened, composing herself with the poise of royalty. She had no time for weakness. The Concord teetered on the brink of fracture. Rumors swirled of the Shadow Veil, an ancient enemy awakening in the uncharted fringes, threatening to engulf allied worlds. Her people needed alliances, not pity. Yet as she turned to rejoin the throng, a new presence caught her attention through the dome's transparency. A sleek human vessel, unmarked and defiantly angular compared to the elegant curves of alien craft, docked with a precision that spoke of raw ingenuity rather than inherited tech. Humans. The word sent a forbidden thrill through her veins. They were young, brash, untested, dismissed by the Concord as the apes who reached the stars on stolen fire. But something in their reputation whispered of possibility, danger, hope. Inside the grand atrium, the human delegation entered amid a ripple of disdainful murmurs. Leading them was a figure who stood out like a rogue comet. Captain Jax Harlan, broad-shouldered and unadorned in a simple black uniform that hugged his muscular frame without ostentation. His hair was tousled dark waves, his jaw set with the quiet confidence of one who had stared down supernovas and walked away smirking. Jade-green eyes scanned the room with predatory curiosity, not awe. He carried no lavish gifts, only a small data crystal that pulsed faintly at his belt. Whispers followed him. The human who brokered the peace at Rigel 9 single-handedly. The one who outmaneuvered a Crixian armada with nothing but clever lies and faster engines. Ilara watched from the shadows, her echo unconsciously reaching out, not to overwhelm, but to test. It brushed against him like a tentative melody, seeking harmony. Jax paused mid-stride, his head tilting as if hearing a distant song. For a fraction of a second, his gaze locked with hers across the crowded hall. No recoil. No fear. Instead, a slow, devastating smile curved his lips, the kind that promised chaos wrapped in velvet. Ilara's breath caught. Her echo surged stronger, testing the boundaries of his mind. But it met resistance. Not walls of iron, but flowing rivers of adaptability, reshaping around the pressure like liquid starlight. He didn't flinch, he winked. The princess's heart, long armored in isolation, cracked open just a sliver. This human, this impossible dangerous creature had not turned away. Not yet, but as the evening's protocols dragged on, Ilara felt the galaxy shift on its axis. Proposals had failed her before. What madness would this one bring? Little did she know, Captain Jax Harlan carried a proposal that would not merely bind hearts, but ignite wars, unravel ancient curses, and redefine what it meant to love across the stars. A proposal forged in human audacity, laced with romance that could either save her soul or doom them both to the abyss. In the hours that followed, as dignitaries mingled and plots thickened in shadowed alcoves, Ilara found herself drawn inexorably toward the human. Their first words were accidental, a collision near the refreshment nebula where glowing drinks floated like miniature galaxies. "Pardon, Your Highness," Jax said, his voice a low rumble that resonated deeper than any alien timbre. Up close, he smelled of earth rain and engine grease, a primal scent that made her echo hum in unexpected delight. "Didn't mean to eclipse your orbit." His grin was boyish yet edged with steel. She laughed a sound like wind chimes in a vacuum for the first time in cycles. "Most would have fled by now," she replied, her starfire eyes searching his. "Your kind, you do not hear the echo?" Jax leaned closer, undaunted. "Oh, I hear it, Princess. It's the most beautiful damn song in the galaxy. Makes me want to dance instead of run." The air between them crackled with unspoken tension, romantic embers flickering to life amid political intrigue. Whispers spread, the Echo Queen and the human barbarian. Dangerous, forbidden, spellbinding. As the night deepened, Ilara retreated to her private chambers, the soul echo thrumming with newfound warmth. Rejections had defined her existence, carving scars into her spirit. But this human's gaze lingered in her mind like a promise. Outside, the Nexus hummed with impending doom, the shadow-veiled scouts already probing borders. Alliances were fracturing. Yet in her dreams, Jox's smile persisted, hinting at a proposal that would shatter every rule. A dangerous dance of hearts where one wrong step could consume them both. She awoke with resolve. Tomorrow she would seek him out. For the first time, hope bloomed wild and untamed, romantic and reckless. The galaxy had turned its back on her. But humanity, it seemed, was just beginning to turn toward her, with fire in its eyes and peril on its lips. The hours blurred into a tapestry of anticipation. Ilara reviewed holographic dossiers on human physiology, marveling at their neural plasticity, the way their minds rewrote themselves under stress, adapting where others broke. Could one such as he truly withstand me? She murmured, tracing his image with a glowing fingertip. Romantic visions danced unbidden, entwined under alien skies, his hands steady on her trembling form, their echoes merging into a symphony no Concord law could silence. But shadows lurked, jealous counselors plotting to exile the human interloper, ancient Thalorian edicts forbidding lesser bonds under penalty of void exile. By dawn's simulated light, as the Nexus awoke to another cycle of fragile peace, Ilara stepped into the corridor leading to the human quarters. Her robes whispered promises against the polished floors. The rejection of every alien male had forged her into something unbreakable. Now, one human's dangerous proposal loomed on the horizon, twisting fate into a spellbinding romance that would either elevate her to legendary love or plunge the stars into chaos. She smiled, violet lips curving with defiant joy. Let the galaxy watch. Humanity had arrived, and with it, the possibility of forever. The artificial dawn of the eternal Nexus bathed the corridors in molten gold, a light engineered to mimic the warmth of 100 forgotten suns. Ilara moved through them like a comet trailing violet fire, her robes whispering secrets against marble floors veined with living crystal. Every step echoed with purpose. Every breath carried the faint harmonic tremor of her soul echo, now restless, almost eager. She had not slept. Instead, she had spent the night cycle reviewing every scrap of intelligence the Concord possessed on humanity, fragmented reports of their relentless expansion, their infuriating refusal to bow to galactic norms, their maddening habit of surviving the unsurvivable. Captain Jax Harlan's file was maddeningly sparse. Born on a backwater colony called New California, orphaned young, rose through mercenary ranks before mysteriously gaining command of the rogue freighter Iron Persephone. No noble lineage, no ancient blood right, yet the man had stared into her echo without flinching. That single fact burned brighter than any diplomatic credential. She found him in the lower observation deck, a rarely visited gallery where transparent panels offered an unobstructed view of the Nexus's slow rotation against the star field. Jock stood alone, hands clasped behind his back, staring out as though the galaxy owed him answers. He wore the same black uniform, sleeves rolled to reveal forearms, corded with muscle and scarred from battles most aliens would never comprehend. When he sensed her approach, somehow, impossibly, he turned without haste. "Morning, Princess," he said, voice carrying that same velvet-edged rumble. Or whatever passes for morning when you control the clocks. Ilara halted 3 paces away, suddenly aware of how small the space felt. Her echo brushed against him again, testing, probing. It met the same fluid resistance, his mind bending, reshaping, never breaking. A thrill raced through her, equal parts fear and exhilaration. "You did not leave," she said. Not a question, an observation laced with wonder. "Wasn't planning to." Jox's jade eyes held hers without blinking. Got a feeling the real party hasn't started yet. She stepped closer. The air between them shimmered with unspoken voltage. Every male of 1,000 species has fled my presence after one taste of the echo. You lingered, smiled. Why? He considered her for a long moment, then shrugged one shoulder. Maybe I like dangerous music. Maybe I've heard worse symphonies in engine rooms during reactor meltdowns. A crooked grin. Or maybe I just wanted to see if the most beautiful creature in the galaxy was as lonely as she looked. The words struck like a plasma lance. Ilara's breath hitched. No one had ever dared name her isolation so plainly. She felt exposed, raw, and for the first time in memory seen. Flattery is a cheap currency among the stars, she replied, though her voice lacked its usual regal edge. Not flattery. Jacques took one deliberate step forward, closing the distance until only a handspan separated them. Observation. You stand in rooms full of people and still look like the only one there. That's not power. That's a cage. Her starfire eyes widened. The soul echo surged instinctively, seeking to overwhelm, to drive him back as it had driven all others. But Jacques did not retreat. Instead, he exhaled slowly, as though savoring the pressure, letting it wash through him. Color rose along his cheekbones, his pupils dilated. Yet he held her gaze. Feels like standing inside a thunderstorm made of violins, he murmured. Hurts like hell. Still worth it. Ilara's heart slammed against her ribs. No rejection, no collapse. Only acceptance, raw, reckless, human. Before she could speak, alarms shattered the silence. Crimson strobes flashed across the observation deck. A voice mechanical, urgent blared from hidden speakers. Shadow Veil incursion detected. Perimeter breach at Sector 7 Alpha. All delegates to emergency assembly. Repeat. Jacques moved before the message finished. He seized her wrist, not roughly, but with urgent certainty, and pulled her toward the exit. We need to move, now. Ilara allowed herself to be led, stunned by the casual strength in his grip, by the way her echo seemed to curl around his touch like a lover rather than a weapon. They raced through corridors filling with panicked dignitaries, past Chrysians brandishing ceremonial blades, Vorath roaring orders, Ilindari fluttering in terrified clusters. They burst into the grand atrium just as the massive holodisplay ignited. A colossal rift yawned in the black between stars, an unnatural tear leaking violet-black smoke that swallowed light itself. Shadow Veil entities poured through, formless nightmares given jagged purpose, their edges flickering with stolen memories. Already Concord defense grids were failing. Elegant plasma lances bent and shattered against the advancing dark. Jacques studied the projection for 3 heartbeats, then turned to Ilara. Your people have tech for days, but you're fighting ghosts with poetry. You need something cruder. She arched a brow despite the chaos. And you offer, what? Human barbarism? Exactly. His grin was feral now. Give me access to your auxiliary shipyard. 1 hour. I'll give you a weapon the Veil has never seen. Before she could answer, a shadow entity breached the dome above. Screams erupted. The creature descended like liquid night, tendrils questing. It locked onto Ilara, recognized the brightest soul echo in the room, and lunged. Jacques shoved her behind him. He had no weapon visible, yet in one fluid motion he drew a compact pistol from inside his jacket. Human design, brutal lines, matte black. He fired once. A lance of white-hot kinetic alloy punched through the entity's core. It shrieked in 1,000 stolen voices and recoiled. Not today, Jacques growled. Ilara stared, breathless. No alien weapon had ever harmed a Veil wraith so cleanly. Human ingenuity, crude, direct, impossible, had bought them seconds. She grabbed his arm. Follow me. They sprinted through collapsing corridors, dodging falling crystal and panicked delegates, until they reached a sealed lift reserved for royalty. Ilara pressed her palm to the scanner. The doors hissed open. Inside, as the lift plummeted toward the secure shipyard levels, silence wrapped them like a cocoon. Their breathing synchronized. Jacques still held her wrist. She had not pulled away. "You risked yourself," she said softly. "For me," he met her gaze. "Worth it." The lift slowed. Doors opened onto a cavernous hangar lit by actinic work lights. Sleek Thalorian interceptors hung in cradles like sleeping predators. At the far end sat the iron Persephone, ugly patched, utterly out of place among the elegant alien craft. Jox released her hand only to stride toward his ship. "I need your best engineers. The ones who aren't afraid to get dirty." Ilara followed, robes trailing like comet tails. "They will not obey a human." "Then make them." He turned, eyes blazing. "Because in about 30 minutes, that thing up there is going to eat this station. And I'm the only one crazy enough to think we can stop it with a rigged fusion torch. And a lot of spite." She studied him, really studied him. The scars, the easy confidence. The way he looked at her not as a princess or a weapon, but as a woman worth fighting beside. "Very well, Captain Harlan," she said, voice low and resonant. "Show me what humanity can do when it decides to be dangerous." For the next frantic hour, they worked side by side. Jox barked orders at stunned Thalorian techs while Ilara translated, soothed egos, and quietly overrode protocol after protocol. Together, they stripped the Persephone's main drive, grafted it to a salvaged Veil containment coil, stolen from a black site archive years earlier. Then jury-rigged a feedback pulse emitter using nothing more than salvaged crystal resonators and human-grade superconductors, smuggled in Jax's personal kit. The result was monstrous, a weapon that would scream the soul echo back at the Veil entities amplified, weaponized, turned into a resonance bomb tuned to their own frequency of nothingness. As the final connection snapped into place, Jox wiped sweat from his brow and looked at Ilara. "One problem." She arched a brow. "Only one? Someone has to fly it in. Get close enough for the pulse to detonate inside the rift. No autopilot can thread that needle. Needs a pilot who can feel the Veil's movements. Adapt on instinct." He paused. "And survive the echo feedback when it hits." Understanding dawned. Her echo would be the detonator. But the feedback would tear through whoever piloted the craft. "You cannot ask this of me," she whispered. "I'm not asking." Jock stepped closer until their breaths mingled. "I'm volunteering. But I need your permission to take your echo with me. Willingly given. Not forced. Not stolen. Given." Ilara's heart stuttered. Such a gift was sacred, more intimate than any physical union. To willingly share her soul echo with another was to offer everything. Mind, heart, essence. Irrevocable. She searched his face, found no fear. Only certainty, desire, something deeper, something that looked suspiciously like love at first impossible sight. Slowly, deliberately, she raised her hand to his cheek. Her touch glowed. The echo flowed not as a storm this time, but as a melody offered in trust. Jock shuddered as it entered him. His eyes fluttered closed. When they opened again, starfire flickered in their green depths. "Feels like coming home," he rasped. Ilara leaned in until their foreheads touched. "If we survive this," she whispered, "you will never be rid of me." His laugh was rough, reverent. "Good." Alarm screamed anew. The Veil was through the outer defenses. Jox kissed her fierce, claiming, brief as a supernova flash. Then he pulled back, eyes blazing with borrowed starlight. "Hold the station," he said. "I'll be back before you miss me." He climbed into the cockpit. The canopy sealed. Engines roared to life with a human growl that shook the deck. Ilara stood alone in the hangar as the Persephone launched, streaking toward the rift like a dagger aimed at the throat of oblivion. She pressed her palm to the transparent blast shield, watching him vanish into the dark. "Come back to me, human," she breathed. Above, the battle raged. Below, in her chest, hope and terror danced the most dangerous waltz of all. The iron Persephone screamed toward the rift like a bullet forged from defiance and desperation. Inside the cockpit, Jox Harlan felt the soul echo thrumming through every nerve ending, a living current that made his skin glow faintly violet, turned his blood to starfire, and sharpened every sense until the universe itself seemed to pulse in time with his heartbeat. The feedback was brutal. Each second stretched the boundaries of human endurance. Yet he welcomed it. It wasn't pain anymore. It was intimacy on a cosmic scale. Ilara's essence lived inside him now, fierce, melodic, unbreakable, and he carried it like a second heartbeat. Ahead, the shadow veil rift yawned wider, a maw of stolen light and devoured memory. Tendrils of nothingness lashed out, seeking purchase on the station's hull. Concorde defense platforms fired in frantic unison, their elegant plasma arcs bending uselessly against the dark. Jocks grinned through gritted teeth. Amateurs, he thumbed the comms. Persephone to Nexus control. This is Harlan, I'm going in hot. Clear me a lane or get out of my way. Ilara's voice answered instantly, steady despite the tremor he could feel echoing through their shared connection. Lane cleared, Captain. The station is holding for now. You have 90 seconds before the secondary breach collapses the outer ring. 90 seconds is a lifetime, he replied. Keep breathing, Princess. I'm bringing your song back to you. He pushed the throttle to its stop. The jury-rigged drive howled. Warning klaxons screamed about structural integrity, thermal overload, feedback surge. He ignored them all. The rift filled the canopy. Darkness swallowed starlight. Then came the veil entities, dozens, hundreds, swarming like ink given predatory will. Jocks triggered the resonance bomb's arming sequence. The cockpit lit with borrowed starfire as Ilara's echo coiled tighter inside him, ready to detonate. He felt her fears spike through the link, sharp as a blade. Jocks, I've got you, he said aloud, though she was light years away in spirit, if not in soul. Trust me. He rolled the ship inverted, threading between grasping tendrils with maneuvers no Thalorian pilot would ever dare. Human instinct raw, reckless, gloriously imprecise carried him where precision failed. A tendril clipped the port wing, metal shrieked. Atmosphere vented in white plumes. Alarms became a single continuous wail. 20 seconds. He aimed the nose directly into the rift's heart. The resonance bomb pulsed once, twice building. Ilara's echo sang louder inside his skull, a crescendo of violet fire and desperate love. 10 seconds. The entities converged. They sensed the weapon. They sensed her. A chorus of stolen voices shrieked her name in 1,000 murdered languages. 5. Jocks slammed the commit switch. The bomb detonated. Reality folded. A wave of pure, amplified soul echo erupted outward. Ilara's melody turned weapon. Her loneliness turned blade. Her hope turned supernova. The veil entities convulsed. Their forms unraveled into shrieking wisps. The rift itself buckled, edges fraying like torn fabric. The darkness screamed once, a sound that echoed across every frequency, and then began to collapse inward, dragging its spawn back into whatever abyss had birthed them. The Persephone was caught in the implosion's pull. Jocks fought the controls. Warning lights painted the cockpit blood red. The canopy cracked in a spiderweb of fractures. He felt the echo surge one final time, not destructive now, but protective, wrapping around him like arms made of starlight. Then silence. The rift snapped shut. The Persephone tumbled free, engines dead, hull venting plasma and atmosphere in glittering trails. Jocks slumped against the harness, chest heaving, vision swimming. The echo inside him flickered, weak, wounded, but alive. He forced his eyes open. The Nexus still stood. Lights burned. No more darkness poured through. A weak laugh escaped his cracked lips. Told you. 90 seconds was plenty. He triggered the emergency beacon with numb fingers. Persephone to Nexus. Rift closed. Tell the princess. I'm coming home, Static answered. Then Ilara's voice soft, trembling, radiant. Jax, he smiled into the dark. Hey, beautiful. You're alive. Barely. Ship's done. I'm drifting. Might need a ride. We're coming. Her words carried the weight of tears she would never let fall in public. Hold on. He closed his eyes. The echo curled around his thoughts like a lullaby. For the first time since the rift, he allowed himself to feel the depth of what had passed between them. Not just survival, not just alliance, something sacred. Something that transcended species, protocol, and the cold mathematics of galactic power. Love at first impossible sight had become love forged in fire. Hours later, though it felt like lifetimes, the recovery skiff docked with the wrecked freighter. Thalorian medics in shimmering envirosuits breached the canopy. They found Jax unconscious but breathing, skin still faintly luminous with residual echo light, heartbeat steady against impossible odds. They carried him back to the Nexus under heavy escort. Word had already spread. The human had closed the rift. The shadow veil had retreated for now. The station, battered but intact, rang with disbelief and reluctant awe. Ilara waited in the Royal Medical Bay, alone except for her two most trusted handmaidens. She had changed from ceremonial robes to simpler attire, a flowing silver gown that caught the light like liquid moonlight. Her hands were clasped so tightly her knuckles glowed. When the medics entered bearing Jax on a grav stretcher, she moved before they could speak. "Let me see him," they parted. Jax lay still, eyes closed, chest rising and falling in shallow rhythm. Scars old and new crisscrossed his bare torso where they'd cut away the ruined uniform. The echo light had faded from his skin, but she could still feel him faint, steady, tethered to her own soul. She touched his cheek, warm, human, alive. His eyes fluttered open, green meeting starfire. "Hey," he rasped. "Told you I'd be back before you missed me." Ilara laughed a sound like shattering crystal, joyful and broken all at once. She leaned down and kissed him, slow and deep and unashamed before the stunned medics. When she pulled back, tears traced glowing paths down her violet cheeks. "You fool," she whispered. "You beautiful, reckless fool. Worth it," he murmured, lifting a trembling hand to brush away her tears. Every second, the medics withdrew discreetly. The handmaidens followed. They were alone. Ilara sat on the edge of the bed, never releasing his hand. "The Concord is in chaos. Half want to arrest you for unauthorized use of Thalorian technology. The other half want to give you a fleet and call you savior. The veil has pulled back to the fringe sectors, licking wounds no one thought possible. You did that. We did that." Jock squeezed her fingers. "We're not done." "No," she agreed. "We've only begun." Silence fell between them, comfortable, electric, heavy with unspoken promises. Then Jock spoke, voice rough but certain. "I'm not going back to being just another human captain. Not after this. Not after you." Ilara's breath caught. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying I want more than one desperate flight into the dark. I want mornings, whatever passes for mornings here with you. I want nights where your echo isn't a weapon, just music. I want forever, Ilara, however long that is for your kind. I'll take every cycle you'll give me." Her starfire eyes shimmered. "Humans do not live as long as Thalorians. Then make them count." He tugged her closer until their foreheads touched. "Bond with me, officially, completely. Let the Concord scream. Let the galaxy burn. I don't care. I want you." The words hung between them, dangerous, romantic, impossible. Ilara closed her eyes. The soul echo rose inside her, once more not as a storm, but as a vow. She pressed her palm to his chest, over his heart. "I accept," she whispered. "But know this, Jax Harlan, if we do this, there is no retreat. My echo will live in you always. Your life will tie to mine. When I fade, so will you. When you break, I will shatter. We will be one soul in two bodies until the stars themselves die." He smiled against her lips. "Good. I'd hate to go out alone." She kissed him again, this time slow, reverent, claiming. The echo flowed freely between them, no longer testing, no longer weaponized. It wove, it harmonized. It sang of futures neither had dared imagine. Outside, the Nexus repaired itself under emergency lights. Diplomats argued in shadowed halls. Scouts reported Veil remnants regrouping. Ancient enemies stirred. But inside the medical bay, Two hearts beat as one. The bond was sealed not by ceremony, not by law, but by choice. A human and a Thalorian princess. A dangerous proposal fulfilled. The eternal nexus had never known such silence after such violence. Repair drones hummed like distant insects across the scarred hull. Emergency lights cast long violet shadows through corridors once filled with music and ceremony. In the royal sanctum, the bond pulsed steadily inside her chest, Jax's heartbeat woven into her own, a second rhythm that answered every breath she took. He was healing, slowly. The medtechs had marveled at his resilience, human physiology rewriting itself under the strain of a Thalorian soul echo, knitting bone and nerve with stubborn, almost insolent speed. They called it impossible. She called it inevitable. She turned from the window as the chamber doors parted with a soft chime. Jax entered under his own power, no grav stretcher, no escort. He wore a simple Thalorian tunic of deep indigo that had been tailored hastily to fit his broader human frame. The fabric clung to shoulders still bandaged beneath, yet he moved with the same predatory grace that had first drawn her eye across a crowded atrium. Faint starfire still flickered at the edges of his irises when the light caught them just right, a permanent mark of her echo now living in his blood. He stopped a pace away, studying her as though she were the only star worth navigating by. "You're supposed to be resting," she said, voice low, almost teasing. "Rest is overrated." His crooked smile appeared, softer now, tempered by what they had survived. "Besides, I woke up alone." "Not a fan." Alara closed the distance in 3 silent steps. She lifted a hand to trace the line of his jaw, feeling the faint tremor of exhaustion he tried to hide. "You nearly died for me." "For us," he corrected. One hand caught hers, pressing it against his cheek. "And I'd do it again. Slower this time, maybe. Give the medic something to complain about." She laughed, a sound like wind through crystal chimes, and the tension in her shoulders finally eased. They stood like that for long moments, foreheads touching, breathing in the same rhythm. The soul echo flowed freely between them now, no longer a storm to be feared, but a living current, warm, constant, intimate. Every emotion, every memory, every quiet longing passed unfiltered. She felt the ache of old scars on his body as though they were her own. He felt the centuries of royal solitude that had carved hollows inside her heart. Eventually she drew back just enough to meet his eyes. "The Concord Council convenes at the next cycle. They will demand answers. They will demand you leave or worse." Jax's expression hardened. "Let them try. They fear what we have done," she continued. "A Thalorian princess bonding with a human. A bond that weaponized the soul, echo, and turned back the veil. It breaks every precept of purity and hierarchy they cling to. Some will call it abomination. Others, opportunity." He raised a brow. "Opportunity? You closed a rift no fleet could touch. You survived an amplified echo surge that shredded your mind. Word is already spreading beyond the nexus through black channel relays, through smuggler nets, through terrified ambassadors racing home. Humanity is no longer dismissed as apes with stolen fire. They are feared, respected, and envied." Jax gave a low whistle. "Never thought I'd live long enough to scare the galaxy." "You did more than scare it." Alara's starfire eyes burned brighter. "You changed it." Silence settled again, heavier this time. Then Jax spoke, voice rough with something deeper than fatigue. "I didn't come here to change anything. I came because I heard a song no one else could hear. And I couldn't walk away from it." Ilara's breath caught. She had felt that truth through the bond 1,000 times since the rift closed, yet hearing it aloud still unraveled her. He took both her hands now, thumbs brushing slow circles over her glowing knuckles. "So here's my counter-proposal, princess. No more hiding in royal chambers. No more playing by their rules. We leave, together, take the fastest ship still flying, head for the uncharted fringes, the places even the veil fears to linger. Build something new, a life, a legacy. Whatever we want it to be." Her pulse quickened. "You would abandon everything?" Your crew? Your ship? The Persephone's scrap now. My crew's already talking about signing on to Concord's salvage run's fat contracts after today. They'll be fine. He leaned closer, voice dropping to a velvet murmur. But you and me? We're just getting started. Ilara searched his face, found only certainty. Only love, fierce, reckless, human. She smiled, slow, radiant, dangerous. Then we leave tonight. His grin flashed like a solar flare. That's my girl. In the next hours they worked with quiet efficiency, born of perfect understanding. Ilara accessed sealed vaults, retrieving data crystals containing forbidden navigational charts paths through nebulae and dark matter shoals no Concord vessel had ever dared. Jocks coordinated with a handful of loyal human techs who had slipped aboard during the chaos. They smuggled supplies and weapons into a sleek, unmarked Thalorian courier ship docked in the deepest repair bay. Only a single encrypted transmission sent to the Council moments before departure. A hollow recording of Ilara standing beside Jax, hands clasped, starfire and jade-green eyes meeting the lens without flinching. We have closed the rift, she said, voice calm and regal. We have honored the Concord with our sacrifice. Now we claim our own path. Do not pursue us. Do not mourn us, we are not lost. We are free. The message ended with Jax's arm sliding around her waist, a gesture so casually possessive it would scandalize 1,000 worlds. They launched under false transponder codes as maintenance drones swarmed the bay for cover. The courier ship slipped past patrols like smoke, engines whispering instead of roaring. Within minutes, the Nexus was a distant jewel against the black. Inside the cockpit, small, intimate, lit only by starlight and instrument glow, Ilara settled into the co-pilot seat. Jax flew with one hand on the controls, the other resting on her thigh. The bond sang between them, anticipation, joy, a trace of bittersweet for everything left behind. Where first? He asked. She considered the starfield ahead. There's a system beyond the Perseus Arm. Thaler legends call it the Mirror Veil. A place where echoes reflect forever, where lost souls find harmony instead of silence. My mother spoke of it once, before she faded. She said it was where true bonds go to endure. He adjusted course. Stars blurred into streaks as the ship jumped to hyperspace. Hours later, when the hum of engines had become a lullaby, Ilara unbuckled and moved to stand behind him. Her arms slid around his shoulders. Jax exhaled roughly. You're gonna make me cry in hyperspace, princess. Bad for my reputation. She kissed the side of his neck. Let them talk. Our story is already legend, and it was. Across 1,000 worlds, in taverns and throne rooms and data vaults, the tale spread like wildfire. The Echo Queen who had been rejected by every suitor in the galaxy. Until a lone human looked into the storm and decided to dance. He had not tamed her echo. He had joined it, amplified it, loved it. Together they had faced oblivion and won. Together they had vanished into the deep black, not in defeat, but in triumph. And somewhere ahead, in the uncharted dark where stars were born and died in secret, a new harmony was beginning, one soul, two bodies, infinite possibilities. The galaxy would never be the same, because humanity had arrived. And love dangerous, impossible, spellbinding love had rewritten the stars.
Where are you right now? Hola. ¿Se mira? Se me petó todo el celular, güey. O sea, todo, güey. Se fue a la verga. O sea, se petó todo, güey. Todo, güey. Se me petó todo, güey. No sé por qué. En el celular, obviamente. Todo en el celular, güey, se me petó, güey. ¿Quién sabe por qué? Pero, hola, ¿cómo están, güey?
¿Qué?
Mira otro león. Y una edad. De huevo. A la verga. ¿Qué hueles, güey? No huelas. Quiero ver aquí, espérame.